Thank you for tuning in to the Patricia Show. Let's talk. Bringing to you by Global Elite Media. So let's get started. So today we're going to talk about creation. I'm writing a book about this, and so I'm going to read you a couple of excerpts from the book, and then I will explain what I'm reading to you. So, in the beginning, there was a force in the sea of nothingness. So, I want you to close your eyes and just see that there's no light, there's nothing, just darkness. So, this energy was without form. And this is the same thing that happens when you create in your life. So if you want to create a brand new car, you first have the thought of doing it, the ideal comes to you, and then you have to give it form. You give it form by your visualizations, by visualizing what you want. You give it form. So in the beginning, there was a force in the sea of nothingness. This energy was without form. It was silence in the air. So imagine that. This force is without beginning or end. It has always existed, and it always will exist. The force of this force of energy was aware of itself as it moved within the abyss of nothingness. This force sought to expand itself and become more of itself. Into this nothingness came a thought that filled the void. This thought was eternal. Can you guess what that thought was? It was, let there be light, which is the first cause. The light, which is the mighty universal I am. It is the God of all gods. It is the Almighty Father, the Godhead. That is the light. As the word went forth, there came more light, and the existence of all things, because out of this light, creation took place. Now, the great central sun. This is a location behind the Earth sun on the interdimensional plane. So if you're looking up in the sky and you see our sun, just think in terms of this is behind our sun, but not on the physical plane. It is where you, the individualized I am, came from. I don't mean you, the personality. I mean you, your I am self. I am speaking of the individualized I am self, which came from the Father. Now, most people, the majority of religious people, you don't have a clue about what is the individualized self, because you're being taught in the church that you just that is God and then that's it. You're not taught that each one of us has an individualized God self, okay? So you have the Godhead, which is I am that resides, is residing behind the great central sun. But each one of us have our individualized God self, okay? So you've heard people say God is within you. I know you've heard that before. So when you say God is within you, that is your individualized God self. That's what they're speaking of, even though they don't say that. But that's what they're speaking of. But I'm going a little bit deeper to teach you a little bit more of that. This great, your great individual God self resides 3 feet, at least 3 feet above your head at all times. I'm going to show you in another video how you can connect with your individualized I am self and know that it's there. I'm going to give you an exercise to do later that you're going to send this something to your I am self, and then you're going to wait till it sent it back to you. This tape that I'm making right now is probably going to be a two parts. So maybe I'll put it on the second part towards the end, so that you yourself can know that you do have an individualized I am self. Because everything that I'm telling you, you can prove it for yourself. And I'll explain that at the end too. I'll come back to that to explain that. But this individualized God self is where the heart of God is. Like I said, it's above you. Now, the great central sun is, like I said, that's your I am self, the Godhead, the universal I am is where the heart of God lies. It's the Alpha and Omega. That is residing behind the great central sun. All right. So now your I am self wanted to be individualized. So it willed yourself into an individual focus of consciousness. And the first thing that it did was to formate a flame. That flame is within each and every one of us. It's in your heart center. That flame is. Inside this God flame is the breath of God that pulsates continuously. This flame is a rhythm outpouring of divine love. You, the individualized focus of the mighty I am, started your expression of life. You were conscious of the source, the mighty I am presence, the Godhead. And that life perfection expressed through you, the individualized I am, which is you, not your personality, your authentic you. When you become self-conscious, you will know who and what you are, and you will be able to express the full power of God. When you decree a thing using the I am, your outer human part is the personality. That personality is the vehicle in which perfection will be expressed. So, for example, if you decree, I am wealthy, I am harmonious. Even if you say, I am fat, I am ugly, I am sick. Whatever you decree with the word I am, it becomes a fact in your world. It becomes manifest in your world. So now sometimes we decree things and we don't mean to decree them. We don't want it to create negativity in our world, but because we haven't been taught these laws, we do it all the time, meaning I am broke, I am sick. You might say those things, or I don't feel good, or I am not feeling well. All of that is negativity that you're creating in your world. So actually what it is obstacles that when you say them, you're sabotaging your life, your world. Your mighty universal I am, which is the Godhead, projected two light rays into the sea of substance, which is the electronic light. These rays are clothed in intelligent light substance, and it has the attributes of the universal I am, which is love, peace, and wisdom. So now that flame that I just told you was in your heart of love, that flame also represents power and wisdom. So there's three flames that burns there, and it represents it represents love, power, and wisdom. When that becomes balanced, you become the master of your world. So you're steadily striving to balance it, even though consciously you're not aware of it. So when you balance your karmas, and it's 51% of your karmas have to be balanced before you can really move on or move off the wheel of creation. When you can move off the wheel of reincarnations, which I'll explain reincarnation later. 51% of your karmas have to be consumed. But that flame, so you're balancing in that flame in you, you're balancing love, power, and wisdom. You can't see, clearly you can't see like a fire burning inside of you, but it's there. It's there. It's not like a fire, it's more of light. When you balance 51% of your karmas, what happens is that flame will burst. Now, when I say burst, I don't mean you're going to hear something say boom and burst open. I don't mean like that. It's going to, but that's the only way I know how to explain it, really. What is going to happen is that when it balances, light will emerge from you so powerful that it'll just surround your entire body, the entire room, wherever you're at. Light is going to be so strong around you. At that point, no more darkness can enter your world. At that point, you are only walking with the light of God, and no darkness whatsoever can touch you. And that is what you're really striving for. And as you continue on your path, the more you grow, then you're given the instructions on what you need to do to make that light flame in you burst open like that, so that you will be able to be surrounded with the light. Okay. The individualized flame brought forth into each ray a spark, which formed a heart center. So when your Godhead created this flame inside of you and individualized it into your being, it then formed a heart center. Now, unfortunately, this is the end of part 1, and I'll have to have the rest in part 2. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Patricia Show. Let's talk.